Ooh. There it is. My bad. I just realized during the opening I cannot do all the social media at once. Welcome to the Straub Sports Show, everybody. Big bro Ken rocking with you. Little bro here with me. Little bro, other than anxiously watching our guards being no hit, how are we doing?
I mean, it's kind of what I'm doing right now. Also, I'll get into it later, but glad I am in my house and not at the stadium currently, freezing my butt off watching the Guardians get no hit. So,
I mean, you would probably look out the window and.
No, thank you.
But welcome everybody to the Straub Sports Show. Like I said, I want to thank everybody for rocking with us. Pops is in with us early as always, and Mrs. Schmoopy Sweets and Treats is in the building. Shout out to Paula. She rocking with us as well. We appreciate you. We appreciate all the things Paula does for the show. That bakery is top notch. I get to eat some, and you better order your Schmoopies. Commercial coming soon. But now, bro, to start off the show, I am not going to lie. Up until today, I didn't have news. I had no news for us to talk about. There wasn't really anything more important than the three topics we were going to talk about, which is the Guardians and both men's and women's national championship game. And then the Denver Nuggets decided to throw us a little bit of news today, as they have decided, kind of out of nowhere with literally 2 weeks left in the season, to fire head coach Mike Malone and say that they are not retaining their GM as well. Did I miss something?
If you find out that you did miss something, please let me know. Because my first reaction was, oh, are the Nuggets doing worse than I thought? I know I don't pay attention to Western Conference basketball that much, but are they doing a lot worse than I look at their record and they're 47 and 32. They're probably going to get to 50 wins.
Yep.
Which I know isn't like the 60 or whatever that they got in previous years, but it's still really good. They have a great roster that could contend in the playoffs with anybody in the Western Conference. And it leaves me scratching my head.
And you could argue they have the best player in basketball.
Right. And so it leaves me scratching my head because, one, it's one thing if maybe there's the head coach just isn't a fit anymore. He's beefing with some of your star players and you chose the players over, the head coach. That was one thing. And that was kind of my rationalization of this when I first saw the news. And then I saw the GM left. And so that completely throws me for a loop because now it's not just a potential coach that was a problem. You're telling me it was that entire system that won you a championship 2 years ago that was the problem? I don't understand this move at all, unless something comes out that both of them were involved in something extracurricular that we weren't aware of, or the GM was if he goes, I go kind of guy. I don't know, because if we're talking pure how well they performed on the court for the past 4 or 5 years now, there's no reason these guys should be gone, especially now, which I found out is the latest in a season a head coach and a playoff team has fired their head coach and GM since 1980. So a very weird move.
And I'll just put this speculation to end. Everything, and I mean everything that we know about Jokic, he had nothing to do with this. He's not that type of player. He's not gonna go in and go, I want the coach fired. That's not gonna happen. So I'm lost. I'm extremely, extremely lost. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, this is a story where I think obviously it's good to bring it up now, but this is a story I think we're just gonna have to wait for the whole story to come out, because there is no rationalization of this that we don't already know. Something else has to come out for us to actually give a full opinion on this, because other than we have no idea, because it seems like a really stupid move right now, I have no idea.
I don't either. All right, so we'll move on from that. That was the only news I had. Olivia Miles, former Notre Dame guard, is transferred to TCU. I'm sad about that. Okay, that was
my entire men's basketball team has been transferring over the past 2 days. So listen, I am fully. I have switched my stance. I'm against the transfer portal. I'm against NIL. Bring these players back. It's been a lot of, and I'm not. I'm not happy.
Terrible. That's what you are. That's Spanish for terrible.
I don't think it is.
No, if you know, that's an inside joke. Never mind. We won't do that again. How bad my Spanish was. Okay. All right. Well, then, without further ado, bro, let's give away some awards. I'm not gonna lie. I had a very positive week in weekend. I do not have a Straub Bruh of the week.
No?
I mean,
you know what? If you don't have a Straub Bruh of the week, I won't have a Straub Bruh of the week. Let's keep it positive. Let's just do awards.
Okay. I was going to possibly give it to our government, but we'll just move on. But yeah.
We're not that kind of show. We're not that kind of show.
So, yeah, we're going to keep it strictly positive this week, and we're only going to have Straub Bro of the week presented to you by my guy, Austin, at Create Your Own Wave Apparel. We at the Straub Bro Sports Show want to give a big shout out to somebody who's been with us since day one of the podcast, and that's Austin Fink over at Create Your Own Wave Apparel. Make sure you follow them on Instagram at Create Your Own Wave 2021 for all the hottest new designs, and get your clothing at cyowapparel.myshopify.com. Don't ride the wave, create your own. We actually get to our Straub Bro of the week, I want to go back to Pops' point because it's a good one and I like it. It's not an old man rant. No, NIL during the tournament is not an old man rant. It's 100% what needs to happen. The same way we talked about how the portal shouldn't be open during the college football playoffs. There's no difference.
But okay, I have a question. What would the NIL do?
I think he meant the portal. I'm pretty sure he's talking portal. That's why
the portal I completely understand. Yeah, the NIL I'm like they're just getting paid.
He's meaning portal.
If the portal, I 100% agree.
In his old man point, which he made good, he did not realize that he made an old man mess up. But that's
mistake.
All right.
Yeah,
we got him there. All right. So Straub Bro of the week presented to you by Create Your Own Wave Apparel. Don't ride the wave, create your own, and become a Straub Bro of the week. Give them to us, Straub Bro.
Yes, my Straub Bro of the week. It is all of the Cleveland Guardians fans. I said I would mention this later. Showing out to a team that is currently getting no hit in the bottom of the fifth, to a 3-6, or I'm sorry, to a 2-7 White Sox team when they are 3-6 currently. We're going to talk about the Guardians here in a minute, but listen, it's cold. It was supposed to snow today.
It did. Snow.
It is during the game. It was supposed to. It's windy as all get out there, and there are still fans cheering. I heard them on the radio on the drive home. They're out there. They're in abundance. And honestly, I didn't mind the extra little drive back from work into downtown because I knew people were going to the game, and I appreciated that. So shout out to you guys. And yeah, those are my Straub Bro of the week.
I mean, shout out to our cousin Josh, our cousin Cooper. They're both down there separately. Don't know if they ran into each other yet. It looked packed through the Snapchats I was watching, photos I've seen. So yeah, shout out to all of you guys down there. I will not blast the Guardians quite yet. My Straub Bros are pretty easy this week, to be honest with you, and it kind of is going to lead right into our next topic. My first one is I got to give love to the University of Florida. Spoiler alert, they won last night for becoming the only becoming the only school with 3 football titles, 3 basketball titles. Okay, that's no joke. And I want to give some love to UConn. 12th national championship on the women's side. That's unreal. Gino Auriemma is a GOAT, period. I'm so happy for Paige Buckners. I'll get this out of the way so we just talk about the game coming up. I'm so happy for this girl. I have known about Paige If you are a true hoop fan, you've known about Paige since high school, even earlier than that. She has been on the hoop radar for a long time. She was a number one youth player, a number one high school player, freshman of the year. She was an All-American that year, and then she just gets hurt, and then she gets hurt again, and she comes back, and she comes back again. To just get back up there, and her team just dominated this tournament. It was not just her. We'll get to that when we get to the game. But that team just dominated through this tournament. So shout out to both of those programs separately in their own right. And lastly, we did not have the show last week. So unfortunately, bro had to skip his whole celebration that he had planned on for me live on the show. But this past weekend was my birthday. I want to give a shout out to my in-laws, my father, my mother, my brother, my fiance, and my son, who all celebrated my birthday with me. Y'all made it fun as hell from about noon to about midnight. Did we make it that far?
Close enough.
It was an early night because we put them on quick and heavy there. But either way, thank you for making it special. I love you all. Without further ado, let's get it cracking, bro. Thank you. Love you. All right. You ready?
As I'll ever be.
All right, let's do it. You want to talk about the games, or do we want to give away our winners first? We'll do the games first.
Well, I think we're going game winner.
I like that setup. All right, so we're gonna start on the women's side. I didn't even have to. I'm glad we were just kind of into it there.
Oh yeah.
UConn, what an absolute beatdown in the second half, mostly of South Carolina, 82-59. South Carolina had some chances. They were only down 5 after the first. It was a 10-point halftime lead. I mean, those are not insurmountable odds. But then that second half didn't stop. I mean, it was 20 points by the third. Paige Buckners, obviously. But Fudd had 24. They're both going to be problems in the league this year. Buckners is going to be the number 1 pick, presumably, now that Asia Wilson, now that Juju Watkins got hurt. But the freshman, Sarah Strong, 24 and 14. The freshman, UConn's going to be a problem again next year.
No, you're absolutely right. And honestly, I know we talk about Paige here. She had an okay game.
She went 17 points.
She had 5 for 14. Like it's one of those things where if she was on, this could have been even worse. This could have been an absolute blowout. And coming from their bench, they only had about 13 points. But so when you look at the other side, we always talk about this UConn offense and this UConn offense. This UConn defense was absolutely stifling. Yep. If I just read off some of the stats of the starters for South Carolina, 1 for 6, 1 for 7, 1 for 3, 3 for 11, 4 for 12. Like these are absolutely stifling defensive numbers. And it just goes to show you that while this game, yes, like you said, was close at halftime, there really wasn't a foothold that South Carolina could get them to claw themselves back, because it's not like it was back and forth. It just UConn hadn't gotten like hot yet. And once they did, they couldn't do anything to stop them because UConn's defense was so suffocating. It was an absolutely amazing game. Like you said, Sarah Strong is another person that finally we're going to see another person lead UConn deep into the tournament in the next couple of years. But I will say this was a great send-off for Paige Buchers. 24
and 15 in the Natty as a freshman. That's Carmelo. Okay, that's Melo with the braids back in Syracuse. Straub, honorary Straub Bro of the Week to my man Melo, making it to the Basketball Hall of Fame. Please don't cancel me if you don't know what this is and you don't watch basketball. Okay, I'm just listen, people are weird and stupid. Shout out to Melo and shout out to the Redeem team. They were also inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame. We're not going to talk about the Basketball Hall of Fame. We won't do that. We're not going to disrespect my man Melo on his day. But yes, one of the things that I wanted to mention, it was funny you said it because about Paige, back to this game, Paige not having the biggest game. That's why UConn won. If you know about women's college basketball, yes, these UConn teams have had great players in Maya Moore and others, Diana Taurasi and others. But they were leaders of a great / really good team. These are not Iowa's led by Caitlin Clark. No offense. They're not USC's led by just a Juju Watkins. Hell, even Notre Dame with Hannah and Olivia. This is a team. And you had 2 girls go for 24. You had Paige only go for 7. I mean, that's crazy. And Bobby Joe Rose, the kicker for the Rapids, is in the building. Shout out to him. Bobby, your interview is going to drop this week. I'm just going to spoil that alert out. I've got one dropping tomorrow. It was supposed to drop today, but we had to move the show. So we're going to drop one tomorrow, and then I'm either going to drop it Friday or sometime throughout the weekend. Check out for it. Big time things coming there. We will get to our Rapid stuff here in a second. But yeah, I mean, yeah, a complete team in UConn. That's what they do now. This is the funny part. Where do these teams go from here? It's the cliche. It's the thing that we talk about. Where does UConn go from here? Where does South Carolina go from here? Reload and be right back in it?
Yeah. I think, honestly, these 2 teams, I'm not really interested in what these 2 teams are kind of going to be doing in the offseason, just because UConn already has the talent, and like even without the incoming freshman class or any of the transfers, has the talent to make a run here in the next season. And South Carolina is so well coached that I don't really care who they get. That's going to be an amazingly tough team to ferret out. But if I look on the outside of the teams of that, like the ones just not close enough, how does UCLA respond with that beatdown of UConn? Does the team stay together? Is there some departures? How is that going to work? USC, what is Juju Watkins' decision after this injury? Does she want to rehab at USC for a year, or does she say, no, I'm going to go get a guaranteed contract in the WNBA because it's even with the injury, she's a top 5 pick. TCU, listen, you just picked up a Notre Dame transfer. Is there anything else in the cards? How is that going to work out? These are some of the things I want to look at because – and it's obviously going to play out as the transfer portal goes on and on. But this is what I want to see, because these 2 teams, we know they're going to be good. We know they're going to be good for next year, the year after, until, both of those coaches probably retire or leave the team. But it's the other ones, the ones we were actually excited for going into this tournament, because they're not typical people that are going to make runs like this. What are they going to do to elevate themselves and get to those levels that they can beat a UConn and they can beat a South Carolina? That's what I'm more interested in.
Were you leaving me out on purpose to throw it back to me, or were you leaving me out to be disrespectful?
There was no leaving you out. It was just an example. You also just got taken. You got a person taken from you. So it's like, what are you going to do now?
I can give you a hint. It's not good, because not only did we lose Olivia Miles in the transfer portal, and Katie Koval, our freshman, is transferring to LSU. Sonia Citrone, Maddie Westheld, Latoya King, and Lizzie Carlin are all graduating. This is going to be a completely turned over Notre Dame women's team. Hopefully, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm okay with it. Coach Freeman says we don't spend NIL money here on the football team. Give it to the girls. Give it to the girls then, okay? Because we need something. All right. I don't know if Flo got another year down at LSU and we can wrap her up for a year, or I don't know, like do the most ultimate horrible rival thing ever and pay whatever Juju wants to come rehab at Notre Dame for a year. I don't know. Not that would help us throughout the season, but yeah, it's not looking good from our girls. That is for sure. All right. Any other final thoughts on, not just before we get to the bracket, the women's NCAA tournament?
I just think it was an amazing tournament. I think you had a lot of, honestly, it was similar into the men's of, you obviously had some upsets and some things that maybe didn't go as anticipated. But if we look back on it, we go, you know what? If I trusted my gut and I wasn't caught up in the hype of March Madness, I could have picked this bracket out. And there was no crazy, yes, UConn beat, but it's UConn. And we saw how good they were. South Carolina beat, but South Carolina was the 1 seed. We knew how this was going to go. And so it's the similar things to that, where similar to the men's bracket, and we'll get into the men's bracket, there was some upsets and there was some fun things, but this year wasn't really a crazy year. And whether that's maybe it's a random chance, maybe it's what's currently going on in the college landscape. Obviously, we'll have to see, the next year and the years on. But regardless of kind of how it went, it was a fun tournament. I loved it.
Okay, so I'm gonna disagree with you a little bit because nobody trumpets the women's game. I'm not gonna say like us, but like we are fans. We watch.
Don't say you didn't like it just because Notre Dame lost.
No, I don't. It has nothing to do with Notre Dame. I was impressed with everyone. UConn. I was impressed with South Carolina. I was impressed with USC for winning a game past Juju. Being in there. The blowouts, even in the close games, was a little disappointing. That was what the problem was. And when you look over at the men's side and the way their game finished and the way some of those other games kind of came down to the wire, it was a little disappointing that some of these bigger teams, when they matched up with each other, really didn't hang. TCU thumped Notre Dame. UConn thumped every team that they played. South Carolina thumped everybody. There wasn't a lot of close games, even when we had our bigger matchups. That was a little disappointing because I wanted a closer tournament. But I mean, yeah, and that's the other thing. Nothing was going to beat the last March Madness just because not only did we have all of these same people. We had Flo, we had Hannah Hidalgo, we had Juju Watkins, we had Paige, we had all of them, but then we had Caitlin and we had Angel Reese. Like, there's another level here of what last year's was, and we had buzzer beaters, we had close games, we had big time matchups that went down to the wire. Yes, the national championship game for the past 2 years has been out of hand, but still, like, we had some closer games. We didn't have that this year. That was a little disappointing. And I'll be honest, if it wasn't for the game we're about to talk about, I could just copy and paste this over to the men's bracket. Because there was a lot of blowouts still. Yes, we had a couple good games really close down the stretch there in the Final Four. The Duke game was awesome. Our national championship game was awesome. There were also some beatdowns that were not good second half games too. Yes, we had our Maryland buzzer. They had more quality in the couple that they had, but it wasn't overall the two greatest tournaments I've ever seen. I will say that.
No, I'm just talking about pure, just like.
I get you.
I also just listen, I love the time of year where I look up, it's noon, and I go, oh, I can take my hour lunch to a place with some TVs and watch 3 basketball games that are meaningful. I just love it. Listen, Creighton hung 60 on Louisville in the first half, and I was like, I love it. I picked Louisville to go through. It was the first game of the tournament, and I'm losing. I'm like, I don't care. This is fantastic. I love it. That's kind of what I meant. Like, I know it wasn't great. It's not going to be a 2016 Villanova buzzer beater for the championship, but it was still a great tournament in my eyes because I got to see some great basketball.
I just didn't like that you mentioned that you get an hour lunch. No.
Anyways,
right. Now, Straubo. Let the people in on what's going on. Who won the NCAA Straub Sports Show Women's Bracket Challenge?
So I want to preface, there was some controversy in this one.
Yes, this is hilarious.
So
we couldn't just have this going smoothly on the first time that we're actually
of course not
figure with it.
So as I was looking before the championship game, I saw that if South Carolina had won, one person was going to run away with it. Not even close. I was like, okay. Now, if 2 people won it, or if UConn won it, 2 people had a chance to win it, and obviously it goes down to the tiebreaker, most points in the championship game. Afterwards, obviously UConn won, so I had to look in the tiebreaker, and one person was technically closer than the other in terms of points. But that person was technically over the score. And so me and my brother had to have kind of a talk, had to really ask ourselves, is that okay? And we decided, yes, being over is okay if you are closer. And so here is your bracket challenge winner. like I said, very, very close the whole way, especially that top three was so close. Eric with 1,300 in fifth, Ryan Peoples, 1,360 in fourth, Ty Steezy easy with 1,580 in third, Trey B19 with 1,630 and was 10 points off the final score, and the Tim Dawson 1,630 was 9 points off the final score. Congratulations, Tim Dawson. Absolutely fantastic tournament. 1,630 is absolutely incredible in terms of being able to pick teams here. Great job. Especially picking UConn to go all the way after so many other good teams went through. Absolutely fantastic. Shout out to you. Send us a DM, one of us a DM, something like that. Get us. We'll get that shirt out to you. Yep. We'll be in contact.
Shoot us a size, and Tim Dawson, shoot a size to your boy Straub there, and you can get your official Straub Bro Sports Show, Straub Bro Sports Show Falls Rapids t-shirt. Real quick, Straub, I'm gonna need you to, as we go over here and we're about to talk about the men's NCAA bracket, I actually need to load up the graphic real quick because I forgot to. But in the meantime, in between time, I want to not introduce anybody, but reintroduce you to what we do on the side there, and that is we are the official.
We want to give a huge shout out to the Cuyahoga Falls Rapids, as we are the official broadcast team. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page, as that will be the official broadcast home for the Falls Rapids. We'll be there for all preseason and regular season games, and a big shout out to our guys over at Sports Take Gridiron, as they'll be broadcasting our games over in the UK and in Ireland. Make sure you catch our interviews on the YouTube page, and make sure you follow the Falls Rapids on Facebook at the Cuyahoga Falls Rapids, on Instagram at Official Rapids, and get your Rapids gear at fallsrapids.myshopify.com. Hashtag spread the wave.
Yes, sir. Now, not only that, and that's my bad because I was trying to get too many things together at once and I was screwing it up. Not only are we that broadcast team, officially, Rapids single game season tickets are on sale now. Our first game there, May 3rd, we are going to be at the University of Akron InfoCision Stadium, Summa Healthcare Field. We're going to be up in the booth, calling it officially on the Straub Bro Sports Show YouTube page. Shout out to our guys over at Sports Tank. They're going to be shipping that broadcast out to the UK and Ireland. But get your single game tickets now. You can get them at www.ticketleap.events/official Rapids, or just search us, the official Rapids, there too. The link is also on the Facebook page. We'll be sharing it through the show too. But get your single game tickets. Come fill out the University of Akron Stadium. Great time. $20 for a ticket. Kids under 10 are free. I think the youth tickets are cheaper than the adult tickets. The adult tickets are $20. Kids under 10 and free. Food trucks. Kids corner. There's going to be all kinds of the mayor is going to be there. It's going to be a great thing. We want you guys all out. We cannot wait. All right, absolutely. Now, with that being said, we're going to get over to the men's side. Go Gator. I'm just gonna we're not talking NFL draft today, but we're just I'm gonna let Nick do this every show. I mean, we're gonna talk draft next week. We have to, but I'm just gonna let Nick just randomly just drop his Shador at 2 comment in. Actually, Nick, I want you to drop it every 5 minutes from this point forward, and I'm gonna throw it in there. Yep, not our only Gator fan, my man Sean. Shout out to him. When you're having the most horrible Manchester City season that you've had in like 5 years because you're a bunch of cheating rich bastards, I guess you get a college championship. Now, Florida, man, completed a not a huge comeback, but completed a comeback over Houston, 65-63. But bro, if I had told you before the tournament started that we could take this game and say pre-tournament that this is going to be the last game of the college basketball season to showcase both tournaments, I mean, the only thing you're missing is a buzzer beater, and those are once in a lifetime. I mean, this was as good as it gets in terms of college basketball and a college basketball game.
No, this was absolutely fantastic. It's one of those games where there was not a single theme throughout the entirety of the game. There were themes, plural, where beginning on, no one could hit shots. Everyone, they seemed nervous. They were taking contested threes. They were trying to just get something started. I want to say Houston started off like 0 for something double digits in three-pointers. Florida had, I think, 6 or 7 turnovers in the first 2, 3, 4 minutes of the game. And then things started to settle in. And while there was great offensive plays, there was also some great defensive plays from both sides. Houston with multiple blocks in the first half. Florida crawling back to keep it within 3 at the end of the half. And then all of a sudden, Florida's got 5 fouls with 3 minutes into the second half. And you're like, what is going on? And then automatically, Houston gets those fouls right back, and we're clawing back and forth. Houston builds this big lead. Florida crawls all the way back and then gets the lead because Houston just can't finish at the rim. And then to end the game, he goes up, realizes he's not getting the foul, has to drop it, and then there's a mad scramble as it ends the game.
It was great defense.
Well, like you said, there was no buzzer beater. There was no, oh my God, that just happened moments. But in terms of a basketball game, that was as good as it can get without those things because it was so well played on both sides. And the only issue is one team had to win, and it ended up being Florida.
I want to give credit to somebody, and it's a group of people that we do not ever give credit to. Yes, Florida got in foul trouble, but they let those guys play. It was a hard-hitting, hard fouling game, and they let them play. Yes, they called fouls when they were real fouls, and that was the best part about watching that game, man. Those guys need to be in the playoffs for the NBA. Okay, call them up. I don't care how this works, but get them up for an NBA series. But yeah, I mean, if you're talking about Florida, I mean, it was Will Richards, it was Alex Condon. I mean, Walter Clayton Jr. is a dog, as Nick said. I also want to just point out, Shadora too. We'll just throw that in there and keep it rolling. But I mean, that was what the difference was, to be honest. Florida had 3 guys who were hitting. For Houston, it was LJ Cryer and somebody else make a bucket, please.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I think ultimately kind of let them down the stretch was who else was going to step up? Florida was like, we know none of you guys are. We know the ball's got to be here.
And I think that's the issue is, listen, I love this Houston team. This Houston team is so together. They're so hard-nosed. They're tough. And they also just know they've been playing with each other for so long. They're like kids that played rec with each other now playing high school ball together. They're just so in sync with each other defensively and offensively that it's hard for teams to stop. And it's also hard for teams to score points. And listen, Houston's only had 7 games where they have allowed the team to score 68 points or more. And they held Florida to 65 in this. And the only games that Florida has lost were games that they have scored over 60. So this is the first game that Houston has lost where the team has scored under 68 points. And so this is a great Houston team. But the only issue is that Florida, which they haven't done all year because they let Kentucky drop an insane amount of points on them earlier in the season. But when it mattered, Florida stepped up defensively and said, okay, we can't score, so we're going to make sure you can't score either. And that's exactly what happened. In those final possessions when Florida was down 5 and then 3 and then 1 and then took the lead, it was because Florida went, we're not going to get 5, 10 more points. We're going to get maybe a bucket or more. We just got to stop Houston from getting any more than they already have. And they did exactly that. They forced turnovers. They forced bad shots. They forced that weird thing at the end. It was a great defensive effort for 2 or 3 minute stretch. And that is what wins champions.
Thank you for framing your entire argument the way that you did, not in a bad way. So number one, because you said forced, Florida forced, and then you started the beginning of that talking about how great this Houston team is. Houston didn't lose this game. Houston didn't come out and lay an egg. No offense, like South Carolina did on the women's side. Still, shout out to Don Staley and them. They're going to be back. They came out and Florida beat them. Okay, Florida made a couple plays down the stretch, especially on defense, like you just talked about, that was enough to win. Houston didn't lose this game. Even on the last possession, they moved the ball to an open guy. It was a deep three, but at this point, it's not really a deep three anymore. That's a normal shot that really these guys hit. And they played great defense on it, and he had nobody to pass to because they had locked everyone else down on the play. Florida played good defense. Houston couldn't get a shot off. It wasn't like Houston kicked the ball away or threw up a bad shot. It was great defense. So I'm glad you said that because Houston didn't lose this game. Florida went out and won it. It made plays down the stretch, kept themselves in the game, turned it around, and made the plays when they needed it and when it mattered. Anything else?
No, I think you kind of killed it there. Like I said, but I also want to say this March Madness was absolutely fantastic. From game one, where like I said, Creighton came out absolutely firing, to a lot of the upsets. The McNeese one was absolutely fantastic. The Maryland buzzer beater was absolutely killer. Loved seeing that. And just great basketball. Listen, I know there was blowouts. We've talked about it, but there was great basketball that was played regardless. And it was absolutely fantastic to watch. I love this time of year. There's something about watching these kids give it their all in a tournament that they know isn't nice, is not forgiving. It's one of those ones where you could win, 35 odd games, be the number one for the longest time and still not come out on top because you had a bad game, but still to give it their all, to show what they can do, and just absolutely just do their best year in, year out. It's one of the best times of year, in my opinion.
Oh, I was reading Nick's. Yeah, I mean, Walter Clayton, 11 and 8 minutes after not having any, and he's one of the most clutch. And I agree, he was clutch down the stretch for Florida.
With assists, with rebounds, with steals, it's great.
The buzzer beaters that Kemba hit in that tournament, starting in the Big East tournament, that Kemba run is all time. But when you say since Kemba, I agree with that. It's not like you were saying it was better than Kemba, but the streets remember how great that Kemba run was. I don't know if you youngins do, but that Kemba run was absolutely ridiculous. Big Vaughn in the building. Shout out to our lineman. What's going on, man? Hey man, I appreciate the birthday shout outs from this weekend. And I was throwing up my Gators for my man Morgan. That is tight end number 1 there for your Cuyahoga Falls Rapids as well. All right, Straub, who wins the Straub Rose Sports Show Bracket Challenge Champion t-shirt on the men's side?
Yes, so this one was easier. I appreciate the men's side for not having me have a moral dilemma before the show. But it did actually come down to the wire. We had 2 players, and we'll show it there. One, if Florida won, had it, and one who was leading the whole tournament, who literally, I think, from the end of the first day was number 1 and had like a 94% accuracy rating, had Houston winning. And unfortunately, because of how the points are calculated in this tournament, he had enough to overtake him. And a lot of people actually overtook him with Florida winning. And so, as we see here, he's not even in the top 5. So, sorry. Listen, shout out to here. I'll do it. Shout out to Braden Flam. This man, literally, he has a 94% accuracy rating and had Houston winning. But because Houston lost and like 8 people had Florida winning, like he is now 6th or 7th on this team. But I wanted to shout him out because I agree with
bracket. Yeah,
go ahead. I agree with this like setup, but it also sucks that you get so many right. Like I think it's more talented to get that many right than get points. So shout out to this guy. Right, but
we may be changing the criteria of the bracket challenge next year.
We'll see. We'll talk about it. All right. So Tito MD 1400, Ty Steezy easy again. So he's top 5 in both brackets with 1430. I won't say ESPN fan bunch numbers. I'll give it full out because he got third. ESPN fan 66003574 with 1430 as well. Uncle Ruckus, yes, Ray, you finished second with 1450. Absolutely amazing job there. But JW with 1470. Congratulations. Like it said, amazing bracket.
If I'm not correct, that is Justin Witt, somebody that I went to high school with. Shout out to Witty. I'm
pretty sure. It is also potentially Josh Wise, my friend as well. So we'll have to reach out, or we'll wait to see who reaches out and it wants to collect the prize here, and we'll make sure that we can verify that.
I will make a post. And I will make a post, and I'll post these, and we will put their info up so we can try to get a hold of them. They are both them and Timmy are both winners of the Straub Sports Show Bracket Challenge Championship T-shirt. And I did announce this on Facebook. I will announce it here. You could win, and I asked my brother about this because I wanted to make sure before I decided how this was going to go. You could accumulate the same amount of points on both brackets. So on the men's side and the women's side, the same amount of points was up for grabs. So what we decided, or what I decided as a show, was whoever between the winner of the Bros or the Straub Sports Show Bracket Challenge on the men's side and the women's side, whoever had the most points would win an extra special prize, which means Tim Dawson, you are the winner of 2 tickets to the first game, opening game of the Rapids season on May 3rd at InfoCision Stadium, Summa Healthcare Field for the University of Akron. So shout out to you, my guy. You win 2 free tickets. I will get with you when we get the T-shirt ordered and get those tickets to you. Can't wait to have you at the game. I missed these, so I wanted to give some shout outs here. Shout out to Vaughn in the gym with Boom. Shout out to Boom. It would be like if I put like 3 more up on top of there to show you how Boom's arm will look. But shout out to Boom. Shout out to them. And yes, the Falls Rapids checking in. So yes, Tim Dawson, winner of 2 free tickets to the Falls Rapids home opener and that beautiful Straub Sports Show Challenge T-shirt. If you are going to make, as long as you are able to make the game, maybe we'll hook up and we can see if we can get you your T-shirt there at the game, and then we'll make that all happen. Shout out to everybody who participated and played. We really appreciate it and can't wait to do it again next year.
Absolutely. It was a ton of fun. I was second in the men's bracket for the longest time until Duke decided to absolutely choke it away to Houston. So that was a lot of fun. I was in the women's bracket as well for a long time, but hey, it's all fun. And like I said, I got to watch amazing basketball for a month straight, so I'm cool.
I was out early on the men's side with St. John's, and then once my Notre Dame girls went out, I was out on the women's side too. So yeah, shout out to y'all.
Too high on the underdogs. That's the issue.
Yeah, I know. I rolled too high on my own teams too.
That's also
all right. All right, bro. Let's do it. It's time to guard the land. Whew. And I
guess we'll have to since they can't.
Yeah. We're gonna guard some land. Let's talk about our Guardians. For sure it's not like last year. We can say that, bro. I mean, since we've talked, we were swept by the Padres. We took only 1 of 3 from the Angels. And I don't want to hear that they haven't been hitting because other than today, this pitching has given up 7 or more in 5 of our 9 games. Not great. And when I talk about not great, I am literally talking about a 5.09 ERA as a team. I'm talking, and that's not a 40 time. All right, that's an ERA. As a our starters, 8.44, 6.52. You got 2 at 6.75 and 4.5. Shout out to Gavin Williams for holding down the starting unit with the 4.5 ERA and being the lowest. Our boy Tristan McKenzie, 7.36. Lights out Emmanuel Clase, still in his playoff form at a nice 6.75. Heron Cantrell, under 3. Cantrell's is actually about 1.69, so he deserves a little bit of love. But Kate Smith, Jacob Jonas, Hunter Gaddis are your goose eggs. That's your pitching. Hitting. I mean, you can look at Quan and you can look at Jose batting 353 and 320, and that's great. But unfortunately, I mean, Santana at 265, Manzardo at 258, or Arias at 250. I mean, that's okay. It's not great when you can mix it in, but everyone else, the next 8 guys, it is awful. 200 is the highest batting average. I mean, the Yansky Noel and Yansky Noel is batting 089. Both of our catchers are under 150. It's not good. It is not good. And on top of all of this, so you're not hitting and you're not pitching well, 9 errors in 9 games. That is dog shit. I'm sorry. Period. Turn this around for me.
Good. Okay. 1. It's been 9 games.
I know.
Let's pump the brakes on the world is ending and we're gonna win 20 games,
9 errors in 9 games is dog shit.
It looks awful.
Okay.
And listen, I looked at the stats one day. I made myself mad. Because
they make you mad. I had to do a whole.
They make you mad, but then I got mad at myself because I'm like, we are 9 games in to a 162 game season, and I am looking at where our opponent OPS ranking is. Why do this to myself? Listen, it is cold. These guys are not completely in a full season form yet. They haven't had a home game yet in front of a home crowd. Okay. Let's just relax.
It's currently 0-0 in the bottom of the 7th, by the way.
It's frustrating. It's something that is going to be annoying if it continues for longer than half a month.
Feed the excuses. I'm here for them.
I get it. But guys, here, I'll do some quick. My phone is right here. I will do some quick math. We are a little over 5% through with this season. There is 95% of the season remaining. Let's relax. It sucks. We realize that it's not this 6-1 start that we had last year. But you know what? When was the last time we ever had a 6-1 start? Let's just pump the brakes on this team is going to suck this year, because the issue is that they predicted us to suck last year, and we started off hot and we kept hot, and so we were never able to be like, well, maybe they're right, because we defied all expectations last year, and so this year they're saying the same things, and now now it's a little bit right in between first 9 games, and everyone's like, oh my god. They're right. We suck, and I don't want them to know that we suck, and I don't want them to be right that we suck. Guys, let's just relax. Let's have some fun. Let's wait till it gets above an average of 65 degrees in Cleveland, Ohio, before we start absolutely shredding this team apart. All right, let's get Noel and Nolan Jones some more at bats, because I feel like that's the problem. I don't think platooning is helping them that much. Let's get Arias more acclimated to the second base job, because listen, he's played third base his entire career, so let's give it a break right now. Let's just relax.
The only thing with this team is going to have a problem as Bo Naylor's arm is not the answer at catcher.
Sure.
And he's 23 years old, and that's not going to change. So that is one thing that concerns me. I think this team needs to start finding a catcher down in the minors and start finding someone I know I'm talking. Hey, listen, you don't want to panic. I'm not panicking. I'm talking about farm system 5 years or 2 years down the road. That's the literal definition of not panicking. Okay. So no, I don't need I don't need 162 games to know whether or not Bo Naylor can throw guys out at second base. It's clearly factual that he cannot.
Sure, but that's not like what are we going to do now?
Look down in the minors for someone in 2 to 3 years to come in and take his job. That's what I do.
They're already looking in the minors. They have boards upon boards. I'm sure they'll probably look for one in the draft.
Stop rambling about nonsense. Do you agree with the consensus that this team? You rambled. Do you agree?
You ramble
with stats.
Talking about Bo Naylor's arm 9 games into a season.
Do you agree with the people who have complained that this team would have been different with Andre Jimenez and Bo Naylor in the lineup still?
No, because Andres Jimenez was never going to be the answer at what we wanted, and what we wanted was a consistent hitter, which already is honestly proving right now that he gives you. Josh Naylor, yeah, I could tell you that he probably would be better, but we wouldn't. Those 9 errors wouldn't go away because it's not.
Santana's made some good plays. I will say that
it's not Carlos Santana or Kyle Manzardo making those errors, and so what we are currently being poor at right now is pitching and fielding. The batting is, I looked at the stats, we're about middle on team average. We're about middle to above average in almost every statistical category. And so that's not the problem. The problem is can't pitch that well right now because our bullpen isn't saving our asses. And our defense isn't coming through when they need to. Would Jimenez potentially solve that problem there? Yes, but is that going to stop the Angels from putting 10 runs on you for 2 games?
I don't agree with the point. I just wanted to bring it up because it's been said a lot. And he's batting 220.
It's us having buyer's remorse or trader's remorse because we're assuming that Jimenez is this amazing guy where, yes, he's a great fielder. Can't hit for anything. I'm sorry. He had 1 home run his first game, and everyone's like, oh, we've lost the trade. And it's like, no, guys, relax.
All right. So calm down. I want to switch gears because you're fired up. I was planning on asking you this question. So this podcast is about to hit the effing rails. The Cleveland Cavaliers have not looked good in the past couple of games. They are not 9 games into their season. They got about 9 games left in their season. Okay. Maybe not even that. I don't actually know how many exactly are left, but question for you.
Should we be concerned?
Are you concerned? Because here's the problem. Before we all just say, hey, no, in the playoffs, they're just going to turn it on. It doesn't work like that, okay? It literally does not in basketball. Teams get upset in the first round. Dirk Nowitzki and his Mavericks when they were the number 1 seed. Peyton Manning and his Colts. It has happened. Teams get upset because they slow down, and you cannot just turn that intensity back on and expect to be there at that same level with a team that's already there, a team that's in the play-in team is that. And those struggles are centered somewhat around the fact that Darius Garland has been struggling. Donovan Mitchell's a little bit banged up. This team is not playing the same way that they have played at the beginning of the year. It also kind of seems like this Cavaliers team, and I'm going to steal this directly from one of my guys who watches every game. It either seems like they are blowing a team out or it is just not there that night. It really doesn't seem like there's a close game in which they lose. It's either a close game that they're winning or a blowout win, or they're kind of getting taken to task a little bit. That is concerning.
It could be and it could not be. And I think, unfortunately, the only way we see if it's a concern or not is what we see in the playoffs. Because, listen, we've seen, and I know it's completely different, we've seen LeBron-led veteran teams finish 3rd in the Eastern Conference and just start blowing teams out. Now, am I saying this team is like the LeBron team? No. But it's definitely
a LeBron.
But it's a potential thing where you have a coach in Kenny Atkinson who's been on championship teams and going, we have 60 wins. As long as we win 1 or 2, we've locked up the 1 seed. Let's just take the foot off the gas a little. Let's give our players a break. Let's not push them so hard so we don't risk injury like Mitchell did with his ankle. So that's a potential thing. Now is a potential that maybe they're just all gassed right now because it's been a long, long season and that is a very high tempo offense. Yeah, it's potential and they're all it's always that potential. But we're not going to know until we get to the first round and we see how they come out in game one. That's the only way we're going to be able to tell if this is real fatigue or if this is Kenny Atkinson going, hey, listen, we have a potential like 20 more games after these next 9. Let's just get what we need to get and then move. We're not trying to break records in the regular season. Who gives a crap about that? Let's wait until let's turn it up on the playoffs. That could potentially be it. But like I said, there is no way we're going to be able to know unless someone comes out and says it or until we see game 1 of the playoffs.
5 games left.
Thank you.
So, I mean, if you're not turning it up now, there's going to be an issue. And I do want to say, yeah, you're going to rest Garland, not Garland. You're going to rest Mitchell for as long as he needed. I agree. I would like to see us play good tonight with how the Bulls are playing right now. And just in general, I want to see us play good. I want to see, I want to see, we could lose a game without Donovan Mitchell, but I want to see it be how they lost to how the Bulls beat the Lakers. It better be a steal and a 3 down the stretch and a buzzer beater. You know, I don't want to see us get blown out if it's a loss, but I want to see us play a lot better. I'm going to say this, and it could be controversial. You might get mad at it, but let me put my reference point on the end of it. I think if this Cavaliers team is in the Eastern Conference Final, legitimately fighting for a chance at a championship or at a bid into the NBA championship or NBA Finals. So game 6 or 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals, on the cusp of making it to the finals. I don't think Darius Garland is in the starting lineup. I still think
that. I will. I'll just say.
I still think. Hold on, hear me. I still think he's going to play significant minutes. I think they may drop a couple. I don't think it'll be drastic where you're going to be like, oh my goodness, where is he? But I think he's going to be off of the starting lineup. And what I'm going to reference it to is I believe it's the 2007 that Dallas Mavericks team that upset that Miami Heat team in the finals. Yes, they had Jason Kidd. Yes, they had Dirk. Jason Terry off the bench was, if not the second reason, the third to be reason that team won a championship. And throughout that championship run, he would come off the bench and he would spark comebacks. He would spark blowouts, and he did it throughout the finals as well. I think that is where Darius Garland is meant to be. That fire, that off the bench. Bill Simmons, one of the best basketball guys I listen to, calls him that heat check guy. Irrational confidence guy. The J.R. Smith, the guy who, could technically lose you the game if you let him have too much, but also all of a sudden he's hot and Garland's hitting his floaters and he's throwing oops and he's hitting threes and you go, oh man, he just pushed a 5-point lead out to 15. I think that is where Darius Garland would be best at this team, not in the starting role next to Mitchell. I don't think that's his best option. Or his best role.
I could debate that, put my spin on things, but you said there was 5 games left?
Mm-hmm.
So then if we were talking game 6, game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals, we are 17 games.
No. Hold on. Let me read.
Well, hold on.
I meant throughout the playoffs. I don't mean we got there not doing it. I mean, throughout this playoff run, I think that is where the shift should go. And I think that's where his role will be best. That's what I meant. Not getting to game 7, then all of a sudden making Darius Garland the first guy off the bench. I apologize.
Sure. But I guess I would argue that because of how Donovan Mitchell is playing and how we've seen him play in terms of positively and negatively, I don't think he has a set spot. I don't think you can say he's legitimately a starter. I don't think you can legitimately say he's a bench player. I think you go into the game based on previous performance, you go, okay, Darius, you're going to go here tonight. That's how I think you're feeling. And then potentially if he starts playing better, then we keep him there. If he starts playing not as great, you switch his role up. I don't think that we have to define this guy's role in terms of how this is, because I don't think that that's how Kenny Atkinson defines his team. I don't think he defines his teams by this guy has to be a starter because this player has to be in this position. And for this thing, the whole team has a role to play, and the role can expand or contract based on how that player is playing. And I think that's kind of how we have to wait to see for Garland, because yeah, he's having a bad stretch now, but he could also drop 25, 30 points. It's one of those things where you just got to wait and see how he plays.
This has more to do with also, these are, you don't have long stretches in the playoffs. You go down in a series. And what I'm worried about is less the hot streak on offense to what you are on defense. And when we start rolling into here and we start having to play Trae Young, or we start having to play the Miami Heat, and we have to play Blanchero again. If we get and match up against the Celtics, and you have to match up with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, that's where Darius Garland can be a liability. Only in the starting lineup. You can still play Darius Garland 30 minutes a game, sporadically switched in and out, where he's not necessarily being taken advantage of on defense. And that's probably what I should have thrown in on the front side. I want to see it with Kenny, and he's done it when it's mattered, and he's also not done it when it's not mattered as much. But that's what I want to see come in this first round of the playoffs. Where are you putting Darius Garland? Not to make sure necessarily his offense is hot, but to make sure he's not a liability on defense. What's going on, Mama? Mama checking in the building. That Honestly, was what I thought about too. But
that's
I
also
want to move on
matchups. I think that's a matchup to matchup
basis thing. Right. If we get in there with the Hawks and somebody's locking up Trae and Darius is free to run around, perfect. We're good to go. You're matching up, and I keep mentioning the Celtics because we keep talking NBA Finals as Cavaliers fans, and I'm hearing it. Well, you're gonna have to beat the Celtics more than likely. Darius Garland is not guarding Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown. He's gonna become a liability on those switches. So where do you match him up in that lineup? Because a lineup that has Max Strus and Isaac Okoro, even though Isaac Okoro is only 6'5", Isaac Okoro is he's not a great defender. He is a really good, and he's above average NBA defender, and he's a lot better than Darius Garland. So, and you throw in Max Strus, you have DeAndre Hunter, you have better matchups that aren't liabilities on defense. No, they might not give you 25 to 30, but they won't give up 25 to 30. So those matchups, I think, are going to come into play, which is why I think that might lead to that role.
Well,
we'll see.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see. Absolutely. All right. That was a good one, though. I wanted to throw that in. All right, bro. We're hitting towards the end here. We've talked college basketball. We've talked Guardians. We've talked Cavaliers. Let's talk some footy, brother.
Absolutely. And we are getting down to it. Although some top teams have been struggling, as you can see. The top four teams either drew or lost this weekend. Liverpool with a 2-3 loss over Fulham. Arsenal with a 1-1 draw over Everton. Forest with a 1-2 loss against Aston Villa. And my Chelsea with a 0-0 draw against Brentford. Now, Newcastle, their 3-0 win over Leicester puts them tied for a Champions League spot with me and Chelsea. But Chelsea do have the goal difference advantage. And so very, very tight here. City with that draw against United. Congratulations, Ken. 1 point out. Aston Villa with that win, 2 points out. And then a little bit further down, Fulham with that win over Liverpool is now 5 points out. So we are getting down to it. I want to say there's only about 6 match days remaining. It's going to be a fun ride.
Absolutely. Yes, Pops, your Newcastle United is definitely coming on. Yes, I also agree with this, that Manchester City would have punished Liverpool for dropping all these points if they were in Arsenal's position. Honestly,
beat United, and then you could say that.
You know what? I wasn't going to say it, but considering that we won the first leg of the Manchester Derby and drew the second leg of the Manchester Derby, I just want to let you know, Sean, that Manchester is indeed red, baby. Don't wait. Next year we coming. I keep saying that every year. But it's all right. We'll be there. It'll happen eventually. Yes, Pops, your Newcastle United, it definitely coming on. Looks stronger. And right now, in this last bit of run, it is absolutely who is in form and not necessarily who is more talented. It is absolutely. And Newcastle United, after that FA Cup victory, are flying high and looking hot. If we could be honest, Chelsea, you have not looked great for almost a month now. So it has not been good. However, I wanted to mention this about Arsenal because, hold on. What is the city? We gave a Wash De Bruyne a farewell match against Sisters of Port United. Yeah, congratulations. Your top players that are supposedly like, if they were healthy, would have won a Champions League are going to the MLS. So I don't even want to hear that. Arsenal in second place. They've basically, it seems like, have given up on the champions, on the league championship, have given up on the Premier League, and it doesn't seem like they're in it. Then they go out today and thump Real Madrid 3-0 in the Champions League quarterfinals. I think, and after watching this, what I truly believe is Arsenal and Manchester United both have the same goal. And that is just to win the international and win the European Cup that they're in, and just will be healthy and we'll just take where we can in the league. Because Arsenal at this point, no, they're going to make the Champions League. They're pretty much locked. I know it's not for sure locked in, but they're in Champions League. They've got to really fall apart. Manchester United, we know we are safe from relegation. As bad as this season has been, we're safe. Put your effort where you can do something. And winning a Champions League for Arsenal would completely evaporate the fact that they did not win the Premier League. We know that. For a team that has not won a trophy in who knows how long. Okay? I can't remember how many years it is, and has never won a Champions League. They would absolutely call that a winning season. And a Manchester United season that has been absolutely horrific, as I sit in 13th right now, okay? Closer to relegation than I am to the Champions League, okay? You give me a Europa Championship, bro, and I'm okay. That is not the same as a FA Cup. I'm sorry. That's not the same as a Carabao Cup. Okay. That's a little bit different, and I'm here for it because now I have Champions League qualification next year as well. So I 100% believe that's where Arsenal's mindset is. So I don't even look at what their result is right
now. I'm gonna let you have it because you've had a miserable season and you need something. You need some positivity there. I won't bash on that, but I will say, Arsenal. Yeah, it's one of those ones where the Premier League is always a slog. It's always an absolute just slugfest and a crawl to the finish. And unless you are getting hot at the right times where you beat the teams that are close to you and you play good enough when you're bad to beat the teams that are worse than you, it's very hard to win the Premier League. So there's no shame, honestly, in my opinion, at looking at your position and going, okay, we only need probably about 5 more points to secure, maybe 4 or 5 more points to secure Champions League. We can do that with a very unmotivated squad. Let's focus our energy in the Champions League. We did it, and we won the damn thing. And so and I don't remember what we're replaced. So in the Premier League, so it's one of those things where
one of your weird 6th, 7th years.
Yeah, we won. I don't think we even qualified for Champions
League.
We qualified
for winning it.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where I absolutely understand that mentality. I just really don't want that to come true. As a Chelsea fan, I really hope that they
can I fight back?
Real Madrid scores 4 on them and comes back and beats them.
That is what we will need. Can I fight back with you on something though?
Sure.
Because you were gonna hit out at my team and you were gonna dump on us. Okay.
I was gonna dump on you.
No, that's fine. Let me ask you this. Abysmal 13th is awful. Okay. Yes. However, we are top teams and we know, Manchester United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, those top clubs who attract top tier talent. The thing is playing where? It isn't just playing in the Premier League. Where is it about playing? In the Champions League. Okay. Now, if I could tell incoming players to Manchester United, yes, regardless of that abysmal season in the league, we can easily turn it around. And yes, because of this, but we would hope to do it, this potential run in the Europa League, we are going to be playing in the Champions League as well. That is a hell of a lot better than we got dumped out of everything. We're out of everything. We're in 13th place. All hell is breaking loose. We're trying to cut every bit of meal and grapes and bread off of our meals so that we can save money. Like there is a better silver lining there at the end of that. You know what I mean?
No, you're absolutely right. And I felt the same way. I have a little bit of an issue because for years, and this was before the podcast started, and you even did it on the podcast at points, the jokes about non-Champions League play, about Europa, Dopa, whatever you call it.
Europa, Dopa, CONCACAF Conference Championship League.
The jokes and the just lack of respect that you had for these tournaments.
Hold on. Go ahead.
Makes it really funny when you go, yeah, man, if we win the Europa League, man, that's a great season. When you have
the only reason.
Hold on. When you have bashed it, and I also believe that, yes, getting players will help, but I also don't believe that your team itself is ready for European competition along with the Premier League. I think that would do honestly worse for you if you have to almost split a squad or have squad playing 2 games a week when you're trying to get even close back to, any sort of relevancy in the Premier League. Because listen, I was there and I barely qualified for Conference League. And that's was even hurting me beginning of the season. We had to go through that in qualifying for or getting to the Champions League position. So you having to do Champions League along with trying to get above in the top half of the table of the Premier League. I think that does a little bit more damage to you than you potentially going to guy, hey, we'll instead of paying you $40 million more, we'll pay you $20 million more because we get to go to the Champions League. You know what I mean?
Listen, I can understand that. How my disagreement with that would be, we've proven we can make one of the runs, whether it be a cup run or a championship. I mean, winning the English Premier League is the hardest league to win. There's a reason for that. You have to be built a certain type of way. No one else is built that way other than Liverpool this year. No one else is close. So it's not like there was multiple teams who are like, oh, we were right there. No, none of us were there. I mean, I know I'm way not there down in 13th.
And then they got bounced out by Real Madrid. So like,
I want to clarify.
It's very hard for teams to do both. And my thing is, if you're 13th, if you're 13th in Europa League, how far are you going to drop if you have to do Champions League, man? Listen, we already got close to relegation scares earlier in the season. I don't want to be there again with you.
I understand that. However, here would also be my point. The talent you could attract with playing Champions League will drag you at least out of 13th. Okay?
I sure hope so, dog. I really do. I need you to be involved in Premier League discussions during the season.
Stop talking and let me rebuttal you. First of all, I understand what you're trying to say, and here was my point, though. Yes, I have made fun of the Europa League. I especially made fun of the Conference League because that's what you were in, which is below the Europa Dopa League, which is what I call Europe, the Europa Dopa League. Okay, winning it only is successful because of the Champions League qualification that comes with it. If there's no Champions League qualification with it, I could care less about this trophy. Okay, this trophy is only making me some money as a team. Even if we get bounced out in the group stage, this club is desperate for money. We need some Champions League games no matter what. And I will tell you this, I will take a 15th place finish if we make it to a Champions League final. Okay, I'll flirt with relegation. You can put me the spot above relegation, but I'm making it to a Champions League final. I'll take it because clearly that means something is working.
Sure, and I think that's just a massive, never going to happen. But in my personal opinion, I think it just does more harm for you than good. And
however, we've also discussed, yes, Europe is bad if you're not playing in the Champions League. We've also agreed on that. Playing in Europa, playing in that Conference League sucks. It's bad for you. It's not great. However, playing in the Champions League, I'm never agreeing that that's a bad thing. I don't care if I've got to bring the entire U21 team to play in the Champions League. We're there. We're in it. There's a chance.
Okay.
That's
and
like saying I don't want to
when
be in the playoffs because I might not have my full team. No, man, I want in the dance.
No,
Get me
it's
in the
honestly,
dance.
it's saying I don't want to win, or I want to be in the play-in cup of the NBA because even if the Cavaliers have a chance of getting relegated to the G League, that's the comparison there.
Man, listen, I want to be in.
I need you to be engaged in Premier League talk in week 20 and beyond, okay? I need to be some back and forth and not my team lost again. They suck. Like, I can't do this with you every week again, all right? This has been miserable.
I know. It's been a tough one. I'm so glad.
Speaking of relegation, Southampton, with the loss to Tottenham, is officially the first team to be relegated and is the earliest team to be relegated in Premier League history. Ken, is this season indicative of the gap that Premier League has on the championship, or do you believe that this is just a one-off and the teams coming up next year will fare better than the Ipswich, Leicesters, and Southamptons, who one is already relegated and two are for sure, well, not for sure, but almost guaranteed to be relegated after Wolves furthers the gap to 12 on Ipswich?
That's it. First of all, Southampton, yeah, that's just awful. You should not be allowed to come back up even if you win next year. Like, even if you gain promotion, you should have to just sit this out. You're on probation. It's a tough one for me because Leicester City only survived by a couple points last year. So this is not a team that was like flying high. You know what I mean? Ipswich, yes, they just came up. They learned a tough way that high flying style in the championship does not translate to the Premier League. You can ask Leeds United about that from a couple of years ago. It just doesn't work. So that's really tough. I'm not going to lie.
Last year.
Right. Yes. You can ask Luton last year. So no, I'm not surprised. I don't think Southampton did enough in the transfer window to improve their team enough to stay up. I don't think Leicester City can survive with Jamie Vardy being your primary goal scorer. That team needs a rebuild. And like I said, Ipswich Town needs to just find a couple more players to kind of revamp so it's not just a high flying style that they're trying to win by. I think that's a big part of it. So yeah, I'm a bit disappointed, but no, I'm gonna hold on to some positivity and I'm gonna believe that. And I'm not 100% sure who is on their way up. But I'm gonna
as of right now, just to fill you in, Leeds is I would say Leeds is pretty close to being there. Burnley again is close to coming back up, and then honestly, if you're looking at the two main contenders to win that playoff, Sheffield, who again was a recent one, and Sunderland. After a long stint of not being in. Obviously, Bristol City and Middlesbrough having Aidan Morris. Those two are also in playoff contention. But there's a 16-point gap between 5th and 4th.
Sunderland till I die. Shout out to the Black Cat, Stadium of Light. Let's go.
Yes. So those are your ones. That's going to be one we're definitely going to cover when we get to the end of the season is watching championship promotion playoffs because that's always fun. So
the thing that scares me about the teams that you named is
they've been up here recently.
Yes, Burnley and Leeds and Sheffield United. More so, Burnley and Leeds have been yo-yo clubs, going up, coming down, going up, coming down. However, so was Bournemouth, and so was Brentford, not too long ago. And now, sitting 10th, sitting 12th, we're actually much higher up the table. Our Bournemouth was higher up the table as they go.
Yeah,
no chance or thought of relegation whatsoever, actually trying to fight for Europe more than trying to fight off people behind them. So maybe you need that. Maybe things have changed. Maybe no longer are the days where, okay, I build up through the championship, I come into the Premier League and I stay. Maybe you need to come up, taste it a bit, see what you have, see where your holes are, dip back down, maybe fill those roster spots in with some youth, maybe try to make a transfer, get back up. Now you're more of a complete team. Now we can compete. Bournemouth went down twice. Brentford went down, I think, once. I can't say twice for sure, but Bournemouth was floating, just bouncing back and forth. Burnley has done that multiple times recently. Like we just said, Leeds was just there. So I have hope that specifically those two, Burnley and Leeds, have done enough and seen enough to know what they need to do to go forward.
I agree. And honestly, even a better example, Fulham, who in the early to late 2000s and even early 2010s was in Europe, famous Clint Dempsey goal against Juventus. Like it was a bigger team. And then mid to late 2010s went down to the championship. Early 2020s went back and forth between championship and Premier League, everything like that. But now mainstay in the Premier League, 8th in the table, fighting for Europe. It's one of those things where you got to stay relevant enough to get the right players, to get the right coach, and then build that foundation. I think the issue with some of these teams is they get, like an Ipswich or a Luton, they get so hot and they move up multiple divisions so quickly. There's no foundation that when they get to a level that they go, oh, we're not ready for, they don't have the staff, they don't have the players that want to stay enough.
Go ahead.
That they're, as soon as they drop back down, players are getting signed, coaches are leaving, and you start to fall again. Where it's that big yo-yo in terms of just the width. But in terms of Fulham, they built their players, they got what they needed, and then when they finally officially came to the Premier League and was like, okay, we're to challenge, they haven't looked back since.
It's also about spending your money wisely. Now,
Nottingham Forest would beg to differ.
Well, not just them. Manchester City were in the championship when I was in high school, when I was in college, watching, or not in college, but when I was in high school, finding the Premier League. Okay, Manchester City wasn't there. Okay, they came up. Now, yes, money helped, but Crystal Palace, Brighton, Bournemouth, Brentford, and Wolves. All were teams that were in the Premier League when I was watching it coming up. It has taken years for those teams to now become mainstays. Yes. Are there teams that are just around forever? Yes. Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester United. Are there teams that have recently from the 2000s on become mainstays? Yes. Your Chelsea's, your Newcastle's, your Fulham's, your Aston Villa. Yes. I should say Fulham. Spurs, Everton were really good when I was growing up. They're not anymore. Like, there takes some time with this as well. So I have hope that these teams coming up, if not this year, maybe it takes another bounce. But I think we might have some difference. I'll say this: the Everton, Wolves, West Ham, you better rebound.
Yeah,
because I don't think 32 points is going to just make you safe next year.
Yeah.
So, but we'll get to that more. Feistiness towards the end there. I like it. That'll do it for us here. Straub, are you skipping like we talked about? You going to take your break?
Yeah, I'm still mad at the United States men's national team. We're going to boycott. We're going to give it a small break.
We're going to use our voice to boycott Americans abroad this week because we're not happy with how they're playing. However, regardless of that, don't forget that when you are watching the footy on the Saturday morning to check out and get you some bakery.
We got to give a big shout out to the official bakery of the Straub Roast Sports Show. That's Schmoopy's Sweets and Treats. Make sure you follow Schmoopy's Sweets and Treats on Facebook, where you jump into the DMs and get everything that you need. All your baked goods, allergy-free and gluten-free, with a full menu of breads, bagels, danishes, donuts, cheesecakes, muffins, danishes, and cannolis. Make sure you get in and get your orders in, free delivery in the local area. That's Schmoopy's Sweets and Treats.
And you don't need to tell me, Straub. I know it's the bottom of the ninth. Bases loaded with no outs for your Cleveland Guardians. We will see what Nolan Jones can do. I wouldn't swing right now because this guy isn't throwing any strikes. But that'll do it for us here on the Straub Roast Sports Show. Not that any of you are currently watching right now, as we're all trying to watch the Guardians game. So we will get you out of here. Make sure you check us out on everywhere, actually. To make sure you follow us on Facebook now at the Straub Roast Sports Show YouTube page. Follow us on X at Straub Roast Sports Show. at Straub Roast Sports, TikTok at the SBSS, Instagram at Straub Roast Sports Show. That's Spotify, Straub Roast Sports Show. A big shout out to the Falls Rapids as well. Make sure you get your tickets. They are on sale now. That first game, May 3rd, against the Warlocks, not necessarily under the lights, but at the University of Akron InfoCision Summa Healthcare Field. We will be there. You should be there as well. Like I said, adult tickets $20, under youth tickets under that. Kids under 10 get in for free. Make sure you get those tickets. Shout out to everybody rocking with us this week. Make sure you check out those interviews. Also, make sure you follow our guy Austin at Create Your Own Wave Apparel. Make sure you follow him on Instagram at Create Your Own Wave 2021. And get your apparel, CYOWapparel.myshopify.com. Can you tell I'm watching the game while I'm reading the ads? And lastly but not least, Schmoopy Sweets and Treats. Make sure you get in those DMs for all of your treats and all of your baked goods. Get you a cheesecake because you're running out of time to get one before Easter and get in on your Easter menu. But make sure you check out the regular menu as well. Those breads, those bagels, those croissants, those cheesecakes, those donuts, those muffins, the danishes, and don't forget the cannoli. All right, that'll do it for us here on the Straub Roast Sports Show. We appreciate you. Let's get this Guardian. I don't know. We want to stay on to the Guardians walk it off. We want to bring it in. Huh? We gonna bounce out. How you want to run this?
I mean, it's all the two people watching. I think we can.
And he walked him, and that's a walk off for your Guardians.
Walk from former Cleveland Guardians pitcher Mike Clevenger. Shout out to Mike Clevenger for giving us a walk-off win on opening day. I did not realize it was Clevy.
Thank you, Clevy. And on that note, love yours. Thank you all for joining us today. What a crazy ending. I love it. Guardians win. Ball game. I'm stealing it. I'm sorry. Yes, it is. We won. We win. Love yours. See you next week, folks.